And the tapes are rolling. Welcome, everybody, for the second annual Catholic Game Reviews Awards. It's the good Homs here again. I once again organized, so de facto host. Go around the circle, or the square rather. Introduce
And
yourselves.
much better than the Dorito Pope. That's right.
I'm Star Wars.
I am K-Max, Maximilian K.
And I am Peace Ribbon, Hamza's brother.
Wonderful. So a little bit of a smaller panel than last time, but I still think it's going to go pretty well. So, as most of you probably remember from last year, this is Catholic Game Reviews getting together and doing our own little award show because the Jeff Keighley show is such a meme at this point. So, you know, in a sense, it's kind of voice of the people because we're all regular people with, ordinary lives outside of like press conferences and massive brand deals. So we like to think it's a bit more authentic, but also Catholic Game Reviews is comprised of a certain demographic who likes certain types of games. So maybe in the broader perspective of like all gamers, we might not reflect everyone's tastes, but we're just shooting for the authenticity.
Shooting might probably be the biggest miss here, honestly, because I don't think many of us are into shooters that much. Like shooters like Half-Life, fantastic series, but it's like, yeah, I mean, miss me with COD. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. But anyways, let us begin the proceedings. Who would like to read off the first category?
Well, I feel like I should in this case, honestly, just because there's at least 2 games in there I see that I really like. So we'll go ahead and go with favorite backlog games of 2024 that we just got to for the first time. First off, we have the first entry from the series that went on to go ahead and make Sea of Stars, The Messenger. And then we happen to have Pizza Tower. Some of us here really like Pizza Tower. Portal 2, the acclaimed sequel to Portal 1 that has never gotten a sequel, even though people have been clamoring for it for years. Rayman Legends, and Sea of Stars. Which is anyways, Sea of Stars, the game that I really like, and it's the sequel to The Messenger, even though it's a prequel.
Prequel, sequel, at least it's less confusing than the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
That's true.
All right. So, in terms of these games, what does everyone have to say?
Sea of Stars. Go ahead, Star.
You go, K-Max, since you introduced the category.
Sea of Stars was my nominee. I really happen to like it. I think the music is great. I think the gameplay is fantastic. I think the characters are so the characters in the story are probably the weakest part of Sea of Stars. I've heard somebody argue that the story for Sea of Stars was bad that was talking about CGR. I'm going to disagree. It's basic. There's a difference between bad and basic. And while Sea of Stars is basic, honestly, sometimes it's just nice to go ahead and sit down and play a game that doesn't require much brain thought. And it's just nice to play a game where the characters are cheerful and happy, and there's no clouds or no depressed people. I just want a game where it's like, yeah. Sometimes I want to go ahead and have a deeper character. I'll play Xenogears. If I'm looking for a deeper game, I'll play Xenogears or something else. But, you know, for just an enjoyable game, Sea of Stars is pretty fantastic. As I said, it's the sequel to The Messenger. There is hints to each other. I don't want to spoil it because it's interesting what you pick up on. It's also a love letter to Chrono Trigger. There is a couple direct quotes from Chrono Trigger in it if you're looking for it. Pizza Tower. I like Pizza Tower, as you can tell. Pizza Tower is a great game. Portal 2, once again, a fantastic game. Honestly, I think the favorite backlog this year is probably really hard, just looking at all these games, because Portal 2 is also fantastic. I haven't played all the way through Rayman Legends, which is the other game, but it is good. And to get back to my illusion earlier, they downplayed the fairies from Rayman Origins a lot in Rayman Legends, which I personally appreciated, is what I was getting at, just for further clarification.
I suppose I'll go ahead and speak very briefly next because I'll be honest, the only one out of these games that I've played personally is Portal 2 and
Mhm.
maybe a little bit of Rayman Legends in the past. But I
Mhm.
will say I understand Portal 2 here.
Yeah.
It's very iconic sense of humor.
Mhm.
The Portal puzzles as just like a game concept is really strong. It was very fun to play through. Actually, I might want to go back and do the multiplayer puzzles sometime since I never got around to doing those.
Oh, it's
But
a lot of
yeah,
fun.
that's
Yeah.
definitely a great game.
Yeah. Honestly, there's all fantastic contestants for backlog here.
Well, I
Yep.
don't really have much to say myself because I haven't played any of these games. But
See, we're gonna have to go ahead and get you to
yeah,
play at least Pizza Tower, The
Portal.
Messenger, and Sea of Stars. I mean, Portal 2 as well. I mean, Portal 2 runs
That's
cheap
like
most
the
of the
only
time.
one I'm really familiar with. But
Fair.
you and Hans seem really passionate about Pizza Tower and
Yeah.
like the little art style. The art
The,
style I've seen of it, it looks pretty fun.
it is. We just want a new Wario Land, Nintendo. Please. Please.
Yeah. As for myself, I'll say this: I have not finished Rayman Legends, but I remember playing through a good chunk of it. I thought the music stages were the best, where
Mm-hmm.
it basically turns into a rhythm game.
Ooh,
Uh,
Black Betty.
and then The Messenger, I actually wrote a review of this year, although I didn't actually nominate it for the awards this year. I'm happy it's here because, man, it's a really cool game.
Mm-hmm.
Just the homage to Ninja Gaiden and Metroidvanias and all that
Mm-hmm.
cool stuff. I highly recommend The Messenger. Read our review. And then, of course, the one I actually nominated and I hope wins, Pizza Tower. Pepino Spaghetti.
Hey, you actually
I
have a
want you to
plug.
vote for Pizza Tower. If you do not, you will not get free pizza.
I want one of those giant pizzas with buffet with all those kids. Did y'all see that article?
Oh my, it's Peppino the Second. He has been unwrapped.
Oh,
I shove them back in. They stay in their plastic. Oh no, he got a little bit of plastic on him.
You can tell me and K-Max are huge fan of Pizza Tower.
Yes.
I specifically timed me playing Pizza Tower for the first time just so I could do this year.
Yeah. It works.
Anyways, I think we've had enough games and enough discussion. So the winner of favorite backlog game this year is Rayman Legends.
Oh really? Congratulations.
you.
It is a good game, as I said.
I know it's mostly you only see us panelists, but we've got a whole website of contributors voting on this stuff and nominating things. So, expect a lot of surprises.
And if you want to go ahead and vote next year, all it takes is being a patron. Ooh.
Yep.
Yes. One of
They're
my
usually
favorite
our
features.
tiebreakers around here.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
indeed. Well,
Although I
just
think
to
for this year's tiebreakers, we might be doing tie-breaking live.
Oh,
As
okay.
just one that snuck up on me, and I couldn't really get everyone's because we do the nominating and voting in the middle of holiday season. So
Yeah.
maybe a bit of a flaw of the show on my part, but the improvements can be made next year.
Yeah, we're still figuring things out.
I think Star's coming back.
Okay, well, to keep things moving along, I'll go ahead and announce our nominees for our next category, which is Most Anticipated Game of 2025. Your nominations this year are Fatal Fury, City of the Wolves, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, Monster Hunter Wilds, Pokemon Legends ZA, and Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Now, obviously, this is kind of just like our kind of fun hype category. It's, not to be taken too seriously.
Yeah, this is one of those categories I definitely include just to spoof on Jeff Keighley.
Yeah.
Because it's a meaningless category.
Can we have an honorable mention too?
Sure.
Wholesome Monster Girl Academia. He doesn't know when it's okay. All right.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. We don't know when Monster
Yeah.
Girl Academia is coming, but we're all definitely excited for that one.
Yeah, I just figured it's like, it
Yeah,
might come out this
the
year, it
moment
might
that
not.
thing has a 2026 release date,
Yeah.
it is immediately winning most anticipated game. We
Yeah.
might as well not even have the category.
Yeah.
Uh, anyway, as far as what we do have, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is what we like to call the Homs voting block, because my brother and I, being brothers, tend to influence these votes quite a bit. But for real, that is a
Although
game that
this
had
year,
its pardon?
oh, I was just gonna say about the voting block. This year we have a new patron. He goes by the screen name Retro, and he's really into fighting games. He actually has Terry Bogard as his profile picture. This handsome-looking fella right here. So he was part of the block this year of getting some fighting games into the final nominees. So thank you, Retro. The block is growing.
Yes, for sure. But voting block aside, City of the Wolves, it's a sequel for a franchise that hasn't had a new
Uh,
game in like 25 years. And
Dang, I didn't realize it'd been that long.
anyone who knows anything about Fatal Fury is very excited. I'm super excited for Griffin Puatu as Rock Howard. I know, and all the old favorites are coming back, new cool characters, just good fun all around. Then let's see, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, obviously very exciting game for the legions of Nintendo fans that follow us. You know, I've never
Panic
played
coming
any of the
out.
Metroid Prime games before, but their reputation certainly precedes them. I'm very excited for those people. Monster Hunter Wilds. I mean, Monster Hunter has had one of the most meteoric rises ever since Worlds. So I think Wilds is absolutely going to be a landmark game of this year. And then Pokemon Legends ZA, our Nintendo fans speaking up there. Lots of Pokemon lovers in chat, so to speak. And Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. It's nice to see this, a very amazing open world game finally get off of Wii U jail. And it's great to see that more people will get to experience it. And yeah, those are our nominees this year.
I will say it'll be interesting once we learn more about the Switch 2 if some of these anticipated games that are on the Switch will get a little bit of a boost for the Switch 2 as well. That might be something that helps them as well. So
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, they did say it was
Pokemon
backwards compatible, right?
yeah, they did say it was backwards compatible. We don't know as of the moment. This is pure speculation. This is January 19th. We're recording. All we got at the moment is it's a Switch 2. It got backwards compatibility and Big O Squeen. That's all you know. Have fun. It's like, okay, Nintendo.
Isn't there also a C button? I think
That's the camera.
there's a C button on the controller now.
That's the camera. But I guess the other thing we know is 24-player Mario Kart, which actually that is kind of hype. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I hope the Pokemon
and-
game has good rendering this time.
Oh yeah, poor Pokemon.
Yeah.
They're the team of handheld developers being forced to make games for home consoles, and they've had such a rough go of it ever since.
Yeah, it's like I love Pokemon because in particular the TCG. I used to play the video games more, but ever since Sun and Moon, they've definitely gone down in hill. However, I am looking for. I guess while I'm talking about it, I'll go ahead and talk about the anticipated games real quickly. I am looking forward to Legends. The fact they're bringing back Megas, that'll be beautiful. I love Megas, and the fact that we'll have them in the card game again. We'll see how that goes, actually, because that could go horribly. You never know how card game mechanics will go until they're here. Xenoblade Chronicles X, looking forward to that as well. As I said earlier, I'm looking forward to actually finally beating it. I played it like through twice. I played it a lot twice, and then I've just ran out of time, and then I've always meant to go back to it, never have. Hopefully that's change. Monster Hunter Wilds, I'm glad for the Monster Hunter folks. It's a series I've kept trying to get into. Hasn't happened yet, honestly. Metroid Prime 4, Go ahead, sorry.
I never thought Megas were that good of idea for that game because it's totally a single player game and you can really only take advantage of metas and like competitive.
I mean, you can take advantage of megas in X and Y and
Yeah, but
Mega Rubio,
like
but
so many during the main
Yeah.
story. And
You
then
do,
the
and
game's already so easy.
it is. And honestly, the really weird thing for the Megas is some of them were on Pokemon that were already good, and it's like,
Yeah.
why don't we give some love to others that need it? Like Mega Beedrill, I was happy about that actually. Beedrill kind of needed a little bit of love. Rayquaza, no. What were you guys thinking? And he didn't even need to have an equip? What? What?
And
Like
Silliness.
this?
There's
Yeah,
a
it's,
reason why Mega Rayquaza was called Anything Goes tier.
yeah. I don't think
Because at that point, you're
Kyogre.
not playing competitive Pokemon.
Yeah, I don't think Kyogre and Groudon needed an equip either, if I remember correctly. I might be misremembering on them, but they weren't nearly as broken. So,
but,
and then
yeah.
Fatal Fury. We already had the fighting people talk about that. I'm not that big of a fighting guy. I'm trying to, but it hasn't happened yet. So,
It looks cool when you
yeah,
and Homs and Peace have me play Garu. What is it? How do you say it?
Garo.
Garo, Mark of the
That was
Wolves.
pretty fun. Maybe we should play again sometime, but it looks cool when we played it, and for that to be a modern, that's cool. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Metroid, well, we got Metroid 4 before GTA 6, so
yeah, baby. I mean,
Everything's
both are
coming out
supposed.
before GTA 6 at this point.
Yeah, so both are supposed to come out this year, I think, actually.
yeah.
But
This did make our list.
I've never been a well. Okay, one time was a Grand Theft Auto man, and that was San Andreas because the story was actually interesting. Otherwise, it's like, yep, I don't really care. Fair.
Yeah, anyway, I think we've veered a little bit off topic. We better keep things on
Yep.
our nominees here. Are we
Right.
all good with our
And
anticipated?
I think so.
Yeah, we're still not anticipated, and I just want to get a few extra words in. Just mainly, I'm obviously excited for Xenoblade X because, as you can tell by my username, Good Hans, Xenoblade used to be one of my favorite series. I still like it. I don't dislike it. I just not quite as into it as I used to be. I'm just stuck with the screen name. And X was always my favorite in the series, so it's great that it's coming back. X used to be my favorite game, period. Now, not so much. What did become my favorite game was Garo Mark of the Wolves, and Fatal Fury's the sequel to that. So, boy, this is a good year for me. But anyways, enough preamble. The winner of most anticipated game of 2025 was a tie between Fatal Fury City of the Wolves and Monster Hunter Wilds.
Oh, really?
So how are we gonna break this up?
I don't know, show of hands or maybe just
I mean,
negotiation.
I was gonna. I mean, listen, we got two fighting people here. Star, should we go ahead? I think honestly it'll be easier for us if we just say Fatal Fury because we got two fighting people here, and it'll just be.
I mean,
yes.
To be fair, I'm willing to concede to Monster Hunter Wilds because it is, admittedly a bigger game. Like more people are excited, so if we wanted to go by popular opinion, it'd probably be that one.
That's fair. It's like
I would say City of the Wolves, just because it's the sequel 25 years in the making versus Monster Hunter. I know they waited a good while for like a new, like, I don't know what it would be called, mainline that's not stuck on a Switch. But I think still 25 years, that's more gives it more weight. So my vote would be City of the Wolves.
Honestly, it sounds like the panel. It's time for us to defy the masses. The Homs block rises now. Fatal Fury is the winner.
Fatal Fury, let's go.
Fatal Fury.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and make it. The block votes Fatal Fury. However, we know the popular vote is probably Monster Hunter Wilds, but wild card, baby.
Yeah, don't worry. This year there are only 2 ties, and we'll get to the other one later. Our next category is Best Ongoing Game or DLC. The nominees are Balatro, Helldivers 2, No Man's Sky, Splatoon 3, and Street Fighter 6. So, I'll give my quick thoughts on each one. Balatro, I know it's a big deal, but I haven't really delved into it too much. I haven't played it. Don't really know what's going on, but I did see that it's already getting lots of fun DLCs. So, I'm really happy for those fans. Helldivers 2 also came out this year. is still getting new content, and that was a big deal. I haven't played the game for myself, but I did. But I just the buzz was so big that it's great to see the game keep going. So many people are still having lots of fun with it. No Man's Sky. It doesn't surprise me that it's here. Everyone kind of loves giving No Man's Sky a little credit because of where it started compared to where it is now. Like, that's impressive. Just uh, whoever you are, whatever you think of the game, the devs' dedication to making that game actually good from where it started is it's quite admirable on their part. And then Splatoon 3, this is the last year we're gonna be able to talk about Splatoon 3 on the show.
Yeah.
That last Splatfest was fun. I really enjoyed that, and of course, my personal favorite part of the game, Salmon Run, that got a big finale as well that I enjoyed very much. And the last one on the list, Street Fighter 6, I kind of threw this one out there because I was just trying to think of things to nominate. And Street Fighter 6's ongoing content has come with some issues. It has like a battle pass set up, and most of it is like avatar costumes, which people aren't particularly happy about. They think it's really greedy and cheap of Capcom. But I wanted to nominate it anyway because they added Terry Bogard to the game. He's my favorite video game character. So I've got to give him credit for that at least. So yeah, that's my quick thoughts on all those. I've said my piece. So Star, what do you have anything to say about any of these
So
nominees?
Balatro, I don't really know how substantial the updates have been. I haven't even played it myself, so I won't say much about it. And Helldivers, so I am a Helldiver, and it shows the dedication of the team that this wasn't a gimmick game, that had a good foundation, and a lot of people didn't like where it was near launch because everything was kind of weak. Like, you didn't feel as powerful as the game tried to sell you to be, but they turned it around, and now you feel really powerful. And they tried to get Sony to back off, but I don't think Sony's gonna budge. At least they fought back, and any controversy that comes up, they try and resolve it, which is very strange in a world where everyone's trying to rip you off. So it's fun. And No Man's Sky, like you said, it's always nice to see that they just didn't abandon the game like so many devs do. Even though I don't play it myself, like you said, that's very admirable. And Splatoon, I don't play it myself, but I always see you guys enjoying the new content, so that's nice. And Street Fighter 6, well, I don't play it again, but Terry Volgar.
Alrighty, and it seems that we have lost a K-Max, so we'll go up to Peace Ribbon. What do you have to say about any of these games?
I wish I could say more about Balatro, but obviously I'm one of those weirdos who doesn't play any of the popular games. But obviously that is the little game that could, let's be completely honest with ourselves. And the fact that
Yep.
it's even up here at all is a testament to how far it's come for a game that was only supposed to sell 6 copies. So that is obviously very impressive. Helldivers 2, as the indignant monarchist I am, I need to play the role and say that all of you have terrible taste, democracy sucks, and you guys deserve to have Super Earth blown up.
Don't worry, Peace.
Close.
It's secretly authoritarian. It's just a cover up by Super Earth that they're a democracy.
I mean, monarchy and authoritarianism aren't necessarily the same thing, but I'll leave you to that. And then No Man's Sky, as we said, it's kind of like, that kind of hero story game. Had a big, dark night of the soul and then came right back. Street Fighter 6, obviously. The characters have been a mix of good and bad, but they certainly went out on a high note by the end of the year with some of its more recent additions. And, obviously fighting games tend to get really good long-term support. And Splatoon 3 was like my big pick for this category. It legitimately got me back into the game after being my usual curmudgeon who won't ever buy Nintendo's online service. But man, Grandfest was so good. I have half a mind to sing the theme song right here and now.
I'm
Just a
sad I
live
missed it.
performance in the middle of our show, just like Jeff.
Well, I just figured in case K-Mac needed to take a little bit longer, it would be a good way to stall for time. But now that he's here, what did you think about the ongoing games?
Yeah, sorry about that. My stomach was acting up. I haven't played, except for Helldivers 2, any of them in the last year.
That's pretty much all of us at this panel.
Yeah, I haven't played Splatoon 3, actually, since it basically came out. I've been meaning to, because it's like, I like it, but it's like, it's so hard to keep up with live-action games. I can only keep up with one live-action game, and that's Final Fantasy XIV. And since I mentioned it, there's a reason it's not on the best ongoing game or DLC this year. It's because the new DLC was bad. Get rid of that character. Nobody likes that character. Also, get it voiced by an actual female. Moving on.
Anyways, so for the winner of Best Ongoing Game or DLC this year goes to Splatoon 3.
Oh, I was actually expecting Helldivers. Yeah, good job, Splatoon.
The Nintendo fans really banded together here.
Probably.
Yeah, it's just CGR's like heavy Nintendo bias showing,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, but that's not a bad thing. It just shows that we're a group with a particular taste.
That's true. I do like PlayStation games. Well, I did like PlayStation games, and then the PS5 has no games now, so you're ball in your court, Sony.
Don't worry, we'll be Squid Kids so they don't release any games.
Yeah, I mean, basically.
All right. It looks like our next category is Best Voice Actor and Voice Actresses. Do you want to introduce that for us, Star?
All right, so we
no
have
pressure on the names, we know.
We have Andrew Russell from Honkai Star Rail. He played Boot Hill. I know you and Hams are big into them. We have Kyle McCary, who voiced Melikor of the Thorns.
Melchior.
Melchior of the Thorns from The Legend of Heroes, Trails to Daybreak. We have the famous Nathan Fillion playing Cade 6 in Destiny. We have Saki Fujita playing Hatsune Miku and Fitness Waxing Hatsune Miku. And we have Stuart Clark playing, how do you say that, Stroll?
That's right.
Stroll, we have him playing Stroll and Metaphor. So, he's the rabbit guy, right?
No. Stroll is the guy with the horns and the orange jacket.
I haven't looked into Metaphor at all, honestly. I'm trying not to buy Sega stuff at the moment.
So I have seen a lot of Boot Hill. He does a good job. He's pretty fun. He's a very good, comedic relief. And I haven't seen the Daybreak actor. And Nathan Fillion, he came back for his role, which is surprising they spent the money on him. But he's always good as always with his grapey voice. And Hatsune Miku, we gotta love her voice. It's had an impact all these years. And I haven't seen the Metaphor guy, so I can't say much about him.
Yeah, I think we can all kind of agree here that the Hatsune Miku nomination here is a bit of a joke because it is
absolutely
a bank. But how could you not? This is the year of Miku. We got Miku in Fortnite, guys.
That's true. Like I'll be honest, none of the games I played last year I think had voice acting. So I'm the one that put Hatsune Miku in here just as a joke, and I'm surprised she's still here. Not gonna lie, but it's funny. Hope she wins.
Yeah. We just wanted to be the award show that nominated Hatsune Miku.
Let's go.
That's literally all this is.
Let's go.
We did the meme, guys.
We did the meme.
So many people angry.
But yeah, I think I'm probably a good person to talk a little bit more for this section because I've actually played most of the games that for our more serious ones. So Andrew Russell as Boot Hill and Honkai Star Rail. it seems like that a cowboy shouldn't even be that hard of a role to do, but he put his heart and soul into every single line that he did, especially in the 2.6 update when he had to do some very intensely emotional scenes
Is that where he
near the
was
climax of
talking
the
about
story.
Is that where he was talking about the death of his family?
Yeah, or like, like the destruction of his hometown, and
Yeah,
he was like psychologically being manipulated to have like the mentality of a child. It was kind of
yeah.
trippy, but it was really incredible. Um, and of course, the other thing is that Andrew Russell puts so much of his, energy into promoting this character that is, for all intents and purposes, one of the most unknown characters in the entire like franchise, and he deserves all of the credit for that. He's so fun. And then let's see, Kyle McCarley as Melchior. Obviously, I have strong opinions about Trails Through Daybreak, but one of my strongest opinions is that Kyle McCarley was the highlight of Trails Through Daybreak for me. He just understood the assignment of just being that totally irredeemable, just slime ball of a character, and he plays into it so hard. He was entertaining for every single second he was speaking, and it is a shame that he probably will not be returning to the series for story reasons, but you deserve all the best for that performance that he gave. And then the last one that I have direct encounters with Stroll from Metaphor, Stuart Clark. Obviously, a lot of people gave this guy some credit for his incredible awakening scene during the first like proper dungeon of the game. But even before that, this guy was doing such an amazing job with just making his character sound so natural when just talking about the little things and bonding with the main character and stuff. It's a performance that really has to be heard to be appreciated. But yeah, honestly, I was very surprised because I didn't even push for my picks for this category that much, and then people voted them in anyway. So I hope that says something about those at least.
They trust your judgment. That's what it means.
Yeah, I am curious about Metaphor. Honestly, I'm basically just waiting for I find it used, so Sega doesn't get money, or on a sale, so Sega gets very little money. So it's like that. That one's interesting. I guess the only other thought I have is Nathan Fillion is the guy from Firefly, right? I'm awful with
Yeah.
actors. Okay, I could see, like, as much as I'm not that big a fan of Destiny 2 just because of what Bungie said, Nathan does do a
Yeah.
good job with his acting. Like, he did a good job in Firefly. He did a good job as Captain Hammer. There's probably other things that I've seen him in that I can't remember. So it's like, I could see him having done a good job for Destiny 2.
He did a good job because they didn't ruin his character this time. Because when the game first came out, they turned him into like a comedic relief. Like he always threw jokes, but
yeah,
he wasn't just a joke guy. He actually had a character, and
That's
they let him be the character again.
that's typically how Nathan Fillion does his characters, where they're jokey but they have a serious backstory.
Yeah.
Except for Captain Hammer, he's the exception.
Oh boy, Dr. Horrible. What a
Dr. Horrible, right?
show.
Right? I should rewatch it. It's been a while. Anyways.
And as for myself, I only have one thing to say. I hope the cowboy wins. That's all I have to say. Andrew Russell voices his own memes, and it's amazing.
That does sound amazing.
Anyways, and congrats to all the other actors too. Kyle McCarley, I've seen him in a lot of stuff. He's good. Nathan Fillion, big name actor. It's always nice to have those in games. They can add something special when they really put their best foot forward with it. We're just having fun. And Stuart Clark, from what I've heard, he's easily the best actor in that game by far. So good on him for really stepping up and bringing his A game into that role. Anyways, the winner of Best Voice Actor or Voice Actress this year goes to Nathan Fillion.
Hey.
Congratulations.
And I didn't even vote for him as a former Destiny fan.
I'll be honest. I was kind of hoping Hatsune Miku was going to win so we could say pipe bomb. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, but
Before we move on to our next category, Miku Miku B.
Good job though, Nathan. Like as I said, Nathan Paley does do a good job. So
Yeah.
yeah, most appreciative. Anyways, K-Max, I believe it's your turn to introduce another category.
yeah, this is a category I typically play a lot of. I didn't this year. That's what I realized when I was looking over the independent games. So this year we have best independent game. We have Balatro. We have Lorelei and the Laser Eyes. Pew pew. The Plucky Squire. Rabbit and Steel and UFO 50.
Wonderful.
As I said, I haven't touched any of these. I have been interested in Balatro. I just haven't touched it yet, just because it has Stardew Valley in it, and I know it's not like required or anything because it's just like the card backing. But I don't like Stardew Valley, and I know that's going to be a hot, controversial take. It's because you can sacrifice your kids to the witch. That's why, guys. Other things too, but that's the biggest thing.
Don't worry, we can just mod the church that mod I showed you. But
Yeah, that's true. See,
Balatro,
that would fix a lot too. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Balatro, Katoons really liked it, and all my friends, they don't stop talking about it. So it looks actually pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen what Rabbit and Steel. I know Heath really enjoyed it. My friends enjoyed it as well. And I know KK is big into UFO, right? T-Max?
Oh, wait. Okay,
Yeah.
Gross. Yeah, he is. I was just,
Yeah.
it's like
Always
when you,
found KK.
Gross's baby.
yeah, I was like when you said KK, it's like that could be me too. So I wasn't sure who you were talking about. It's like what? Yeah, I think K Gross does like UFO 50. I'm interested in it because it does sound kind of similar to like a WarioWare, but I haven't touched it yet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as my thoughts on this stuff, Balatro, obviously incredibly popular game. Katoons gave it a very nice review. Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, also a pretty well received game by our site in particular. I want to say, was it PP Injustice or Spicy Food who wrote that one?
I can look that up real quickly while you keep talking about the others. You go ahead.
But yeah, and then Plucky Squire, I think, was it Badger who was probably really pushing for that one, if I remember correctly. I think she wanted to do a review of it or something. But
It was spicy for Lorelei.
yeah, Spicy did Lorelei, and he gave it a very glowing review. Rabbit and Steel, I intend to write a kind of like a filler review for it at some point, probably soon. But it was kind of a going back to the roots for me because the first game I ever reviewed was Maiden and Spell, which is the same developer. And it was really fun to see those mechanics being put into a new roguelike setting. And the gameplay group is pretty fun and addicting after a while, albeit there is a bit of luck involved in places, and the higher difficulties are genuinely very challenging. Even I don't really beat hard mode that very often, but it's a very satisfying game to get good at. And then UFO 50, I definitely remember that making a big splash because it was, like 50 games in one. But I can see why that would be a landmark nominee for this year.
In order for it to be a real sendback, though, half of the games of UFO 50 shouldn't work. For those unaware, Action 51. No, Action 52, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think you guys all took all the words out of my mouth. I don't have much left to say about any of these. I've only played Rabbit and Steel because it has multiplayer. So my brother dragged me to that one. I had a good time. I would be interested in playing a lot of the other games on the list too. I just only so much time.
Yeah.
I work at a restaurant. What can you do?
Yeah, I'm still playing Brotato and Slay the Spire, both of which did not come out last year. So
the winner of Best Independent Game goes to Balatro.
hey,
There we are.
I love how we're just gonna golf clap our way through.
golf
each
clap.
category.
That way we don't go ahead and peak the microphones.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, we could do one big
yeah,
clap.
you know,
We have to do the last
certainly is.
category as a standing ovation, and I will
All
not
right.
accept anything
All right,
less.
all right. I think we can do that.
Yeah, but yeah, congratulations, Balatro, and this would probably be like the winning pick if we opened this thing up to the whole community because
Probably,
it's
yeah.
just taken the world by storm, as it were.
It really has.
All right, for our next category, we have a best multiplayer game, and your nominees are Helldivers 2, Spectre Divide, Super Mario Party Jamboree, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate, and Tekken 8. Now, I can comment on about like 3 of these in particular. Spectre Divide, I have pretty much exclusively played with Mr. Starwork down there, but honestly, even just from playing in that, it is a very fun game. The idea of that tactical shooter, but trying to manage 2 different avatars at once, and the kind of crazy strategies you can do are incredibly engaging. And it's always a blast when the 2 of us get together to play some rounds of that. And I will obviously be happy to play as many as he likes whenever we find time. Super Mario Party Jamboree. Obviously, this was one of my like late in the year purchases, and I had so much fun playing through that game. Like, okay, if you don't have the motion controls turned on, the mini games do start to show up a lot. But even if I just ignore that, the game has just so much to do. You've got so many characters to play as. There's so many different boards that you can play on, and some of them are really great. I'm a big Goomba Lagoon guy myself. Uh, and all the little mini game modes, and the Rhythm Kitchen is kind of a fun Rhythm Heaven sort of mode. And like Mario Party Jamboree's just got it all, and it's very fun to play with friends. And the last one that I played out of these was Tekken 8. I'm very much a 2D fighter guy. I'm not the biggest into 3D outside of Soul Calibur, but I can definitely see the artisanal craft that Namco puts into the Tekken series, and 8 is certainly a very well made. I know the competitive players are kind of split on it because they don't like how aggressive the game has got, but honestly, I'm just looking at the cool French man swing a laser sword at people.
I could understand that.
Yeah, those were the ones I played out of the multiplayer category.
All right, you wanna go next, KMX, or me?
Sure. I have played one session of Helldivers 2, and I've played 2 games of Super Mario Party Jamboree. Both are enjoyable games, but since I have not played that much of them, yep, that's about all I have currently.
All right, so for me, Helldivers, I've played it. I didn't get right into it, but I got it because I wasn't here around Lent, and so when I came back, my friends were like, "Hey, you're back finally," or like they're like, "Buy this game." I'm like, what? You want me just to drop $40 right now? I guess. So I was like, all right. I didn't even know what I was getting into. And that's happened. I enjoyed it a lot, and that's happened to me twice in life. When the original Destiny came out, I had no idea what it was. I looked at nothing. I didn't even know. And my friends were like, "We're gonna play this," and I enjoy Helldivers. It's a lot of fun, especially when I play with people in Sean's server. We have a lot of fun blowing stuff up. And Spectre, it's very unique. I hope it survives because having 2 bodies, very cool. The strats you can pull off, and I haven't played any of the others, so that's all I have to say.
Out of curiosity, is the Destiny 1 server still up? Because I have always heard good things about it.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yep. And I guess that brings it around to me. I'll say Super Mario Party Jamboree. I had tons of fun with this year, playing it with Peace Ribbon specifically. Always a good time. Like when you're playing Mario Party with the right mindset, and you're having fun. You're gonna get screwed over. It's a great time. Just don't take it too seriously, and it's a great time. Yeah, I don't get why people play Mario Party competitively on YouTube. It's just silly.
Yeah.
And then I'll just give a few words to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game because I take it no one here has played it, but it somehow snuck into the final nominations from voting on the server.
I blame Brady Bard.
Breedy Bart's not in the server, but you know,
I'm
maybe she's
gonna blame.
playing
I was like, listen, I know how much of a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan she is. I'm blaming her.
Her influence sneaks
All right.
in.
I mean, I already do have this idea that she might be in control of Jimmy Akin's YouTube channel, so it's not out of the realm of possibility.
That's true.
Uh,
Hack the planet.
but yeah, I mean, it's a 4-player roguelike action game, and you know, you don't see too many of those, and
Yeah.
Ninja Turtles is a perfect property for something like that. So good on you, Ninja Turtles. But really, the one I want to talk about most is Tekken 8 because straight up, that's my favorite game this year. I tried to get into Tekken 7, but it wasn't quite clicking with me. But I decided to get Tekken 8 anyway, and I had way too much fun with it. I'm a big Tekken fan now. So, with my thoughts out of the way, let's get to our winner. And the winner for best multiplayer game goes to Super Mario Party Jamboree.
Hey.
Yippee.
The Nintendo bias strikes again, but
Yeah.
What can you do? Mario Party's
I mean,
fun.
That's some pretty stiff competition, though. Honestly, so
Yeah, it could have gone to most of these in my
yeah,
opinion. Like
absolutely.
Helldivers and Tekken, especially, I would say.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Up next is Best Music, which means I think I have to sing again.
Yeah.
Let me pick a tune.
Go ahead and look up Persona 5's Rivers in a Dry Land. Go ahead. It's close enough to Persona 3. Do that. Rivers in a dry land.
I know it vaguely.
That's it. Admittedly,
The
there's Persona.
nominations for Best Music this year are Astrobot, Legend of Zelda, Echoes of Wisdom, Persona 3 Reload, The Plucky Squire. Am I looking at the right list? It's very similar to a different list.
You are. Yeah, you got one more.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the right list. And the last one that I awkwardly broke up from the others, Sonic X Shadow Generations.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good. That deserves some clapping too. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so for best music, I haven't been keeping up with Astrobot very closely. I know that people really like it, so
Yeah.
maybe the music's good. I don't really know what it sounds like. That's
I
the
think a lot
problem.
of that just has to do with the main theme getting stuck in everyone's head.
Yeah.
I am Astrobot. I am Astrobot over and over and over.
So it's an earworm. It's not actually good.
Yes,
Got it.
It's an earworm.
Oh man.
No.
So and then Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. That is one of my other favorite games of the year, and it definitely deserves to be on the list because it has big oboe energy, and we need more love for the oboe in our
We do.
video game soundtrack. And then Persona 3. I mean, Persona is one of the big franchises out there, and the music is especially popular. I like quite a few songs, and Persona 3 Reload did a really good job. I haven't played it myself, but you know, you don't really have to play something to hear the music.
That's true. Spotify goes ahead and covers that for you.
Same with Plucky Squire. Haven't played it, but I listened to a few songs. It was pretty good, so I think it deserves to be there. Sonic X Shadow Generations. I actually did play that. I wrote a review. You can look on the website for it. And yeah, it's mostly just like new takes on old songs because it's a celebration of the series and Shadow's role in the series in particular. And there's just a lot of great stuff. You know, the Space Colony Arc theme is good. The Metal Overlord fight still really good. The Kingdom Valley remix, you know, say what you will about Sonic 06, it's got good music and it translates
Yeah.
well to other games. So, yeah.
So I am curious for the. I am curious for the Sonic times Shadow generations. How much new music did they put in compared to the original release of Sonic Generations? I guess is my question.
Well, it has 5 main stages and
Okay.
4 boss fights, if
Okay.
I'm remembering correctly.
I'll have to look into that just because I was curious, because I would assume that there is enough new music because, as you said, this is more of a celebration of Shadow to also go ahead and help them tie into Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie. So that there's probably enough new music there that it makes sense. It's interesting, and I know, as you were saying, also Persona 3 Reload. I'm curious. I still need to beat Persona 3 itself, so I'm going to work on that here soon. I actually am, Star. I've been realizing I need to go ahead and finish that, as well as a couple other things.
Are you playing the original version or the crusty phone version?
They're fine.
He was asking if you're playing regular 3 or portable, but you're playing regular 3, right?
Yeah, I'm playing regular 3, the PS2 version. I started it like 6 years ago, and now I just need to finish it.
Yeah. I don't have like too much to add here. Obviously, the likes of Sonic X Shadow Generations and Persona 3 Reload do have a lot of a backlog to hold themselves up to. But I will say, Persona 3 Reload especially had a lot of like brand new music that honestly became more prolific for its release than most of the original remixes. I mean, it's going down. It has been incredibly influential in like the anime meme circles. And even
Fair.
then, there's like some really nice, wholesome music like Color Your Night. So like, yeah, that was definitely a big highlight this year musically. And obviously, I agree with Echoes of Wisdom, oboes going hard in there. I did a great job and all that good stuff.
All right, so the one I've only really listened to is Persona 3, but the new they had I think the old singer retired. I'm not sure what happened to her, but so they had to get a new singer, and a lot of people don't are like they thought the songs are okay with her, but in the new songs she can shine a lot because they're actually more like pop songs. 'Cause she's a pop singer. So the music, those new lyrical songs are good, and all the remixes are pretty faithful. And there's a lot of good new music, which is nice. And I'm sure Sonic had good music. It always has good music. That's all I have to say.
Fair.
Very well. And the winner for best music this year, this might come as a surprise to this panel. The winner is Astrobot.
Oh,
Oh, nice.
one
Well,
big clap.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure like the level music in the game is perfectly good too. I mean, it's Sony,
Yeah.
they're going to be able to shell out for nice, or
Mhm.
orchestrals and good composers and whatnot. So
Hopefully.
we can just assume you all were cultured people and you didn't just vote for this because you had one song in your head.
Yeah.
You guys aren't that
Hold on.
simple, are you?
Hold on. I'm
I
going to see
have
if Ash.
faith.
What's fun about doing a slapdash award show? Weird things
yeah.
happen
I
because
have faith.
not all the voters show up to the award show. It's
That's
just
true.
limited panel. So
After we're
good
done
on
here,
you, Astrobot.
after we're done here, Astrobot is on Spotify. I'm gonna go ahead and judge y'all real harsh to see if it deserves it.
What is
Just
that one
saying.
meme? We listen, but we don't judge. But I'm sure it does have a lot of good music because
It probably does, but
it does seem Little Big Planet coded, and Little Big Planet games always had good
yeah,
music.
that's true.
Can you not use the term coded? It makes me feel like I'm in the middle of a Gnostic conspiracy.
I was gonna say it makes me feel like I'm in the middle of a Kingdom Hearts.
Oh no.
Doc,
Darkness.
Starwarp, would you like to introduce the next category, being Best Art?
All right, best art. We have Laura Eye and the Laser Eyes. We have Metaphor Refantasio. We have Persona 3 Reload. We have the Plucky Squire, and we have Unicorn Overlord. So Metaphor, I haven't really seen too much of the game, but it does look nice. And Persona 3, all so nice. Everything has so much pop to it. A lot of people were worried it was just gonna be Persona 5, but Persona 3, but it has a lot of its own theming. The menus look so nice. They're all animated. They put so much money into it. It makes the game nice. And I only played a little of Unicorn, but it does seem nice. Besides some of the designs being a little too sexualized, but like
Mm.
most of them look cool. So that's all I have to really say.
Yeah, I think I can give a few good comments, particularly on the major ones. Like, obviously, Metaphor and Persona both being here, it's honestly no surprise to me that Atlas is
Yeah.
fighting with itself for the award here. Their UI design has gotten incredibly iconic.
Mm.
I think in terms of pure UI, Persona 3 Reload is probably the winner here, just because it's absurdly high
Yo.
animations on those menus, in addition to the fact that the real simplicity of the setting of Persona 3 allows them to get some sharper fidelity than they usually can sometimes go for. So that definitely deserves some points. But then, not to discount Metaphor, because it's still quite pretty, and the Renaissance inspired like painting elements that they throw in there are like a real highlight. They really just pull you in, and I sometimes just forget to do things in the game to just look at the environments. Like the sky boxes. These are the greatest sky boxes I have ever seen in a video game. They are so painterly and inviting. They're so good. In any case, and then of course there's also though Unicorn Overlord. This one can be a pretty easy one to forget since it was way at the beginning of the year. But you know, Vanillaware has been known for their immaculate 2D art direction for most of their games, and Unicorn Overlord absolutely does not disappoint there. I know there's a little bit of that anime nonsense with the
Yeah.
female character designs, but when you see them in motion, it's pretty easy to forget about it and just lose yourself in how beautiful they are going at it. And definitely a highlight in terms of art in games for me here this year personally. As for the other ones, I'm pretty aware of, you know, like the Plucky Squire's unique artistic gimmicks, and I definitely think they're cool. I'm a little less familiar with Lorelei, but I know that was one of the big things in Spicy's review of it, so it doesn't surprise me to see it here either.
I'm sure the art is very nice. I haven't touched any of these, so. But I mean, yeah, the Atlas games are pretty well known for their art, so that doesn't surprise me. Unicorn Overload's known for their sprite work. I am curious. I'm just waiting for a sale, and it might be. Is Unicorn Overlord Sega?
I think it is Atlas and Vanillaware. So
okay, so yeah, it's like, yep, it's another one of those Sega things. So it's like, all right, I'm waiting for you to go ahead.
I don't think it's a Sega game because it's published by Atlas. So,
right, which is owned by who? Which is owned by who?
You're right.
Yeah.
We are talking a turducken of companies here.
That's true. Yeah, it's easy to forget that Atlas is owned by Sega now because they didn't used to be for a long time.
Sega just realized Atlas was making too much money.
Honestly, Atlas is probably what's keeping Sega afloat a lot of the time with their games. That and Yakuza, or Like a Dragon, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I hear you. As for me, I'll just say Laura and the Laser Eyes and Plucky Squire haven't played either of them, but from what I have seen from them, I do like the art styles quite a bit, especially Lorelei, like from Spicy's review. Really intriguing stuff. I might try that game sometime. And then, yeah, Unicorn Overlord just looks fantastic. Like, especially as Peace said, when you see it in motion, you get it. And then, honestly, during the nomination phase, I was trying to push people to say, hey, maybe we should think about nominating only one Atlas game, and maybe we can throw in another game that's on the list. But, no one was biting, despite my little nudging,
I
that
think
everyone
it's
just wants
fair.
the Atlas games
I think it's
to be
fair
in
because
this
they take
category.
very. I think it's fair
So,
because they take very different art directions from each other.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Although
that's
you can,
undeniable.
yeah, but there is a little resemblance. Let's
Yeah.
not just downplay how good they look, because they do look great. And so, on that note, the winner of Best Art goes to Metaphor ReFantasio.
Repeat.
Alrighty.
Yeah, very
I mean-
unsurprising, but congrats.
Yeah, like I said, with the big push that all the people on our site were going for towards the Atlas games, probably could have expected something like this, but
Yeah.
Metaphor looks good. What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
Is Metaphor gonna become our new Persona 5 with the Reddit? Is Metaphor a sin?
It might.
I mean, I've
It's
played
possible.
through like half of it at this point, I think. Yes, I did finally, when it went on sale, I went ahead and bought it just
Yeah.
to finally try it out. It's kind of like for personal reasons, but yeah, I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as Persona 5 in terms of its stuff. I
Yep.
mean, the main spiritual element is about Jungian archetypes as opposed to like tarot cards and demons
Yeah.
and stuff.
As I say, if people really want to have their scruples, go play Shin Megami Tensei.
Oh,
But yeah, I will be very happy to write a review of Metaphor sometime in the near future because there's definitely some spicy stuff you can get into there. But anyway.
Alrighty. So, K-Max,
All
would
right.
you be so kind as to introduce us to this year's nominees to Best Story?
I can definitely do that. And I was going to say, it looks like we have a game that it basically beats out the other game where you kill bugs. So their best story we have here is Earth Defense Force 6, which I think we need to go ahead. And I haven't heard this song in a while, but I think we need a little marching going on here, boys, to save our Mother Earth from any alien attack. From vicious giant insects who have once again come back. We'll unleash all our forces. We won't cut them any slack. The EDF deploys EDF. All right, that's enough of that. We'll go ahead and continue on then. So after Earth Defense Force 6, we have Legend of Zelda.
Camera down a little.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that. Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, Persona 3 Reload, Sonic Times Shadows Generations, and Tales of Zenzira Zao. I haven't played any of these. I've played previous Earth Defense Forces. I've been meaning to play 6. I just haven't yet. Oh wait, I have played Echoes of Wisdom. I haven't played enough of it. Honestly though, shoot bugs. What else do you really need? It's like Helldivers, but without all the manipulation Helldivers has. It's actually defending you from aliens that keeps trying to murder you. So, yep, that's about all I have.
Yep. I guess to give some thoughts from my side of things, I have heard that Earth Defense Force 6, I could see why that was nominated despite what it may look like on the outside, because I've seen some like, narrative analyses of it on YouTube, and it's one of those narratives that's explored a lot more through the events that happen during the missions as opposed to overt like long form cutscenes and stuff. And it's always very cool to see games that can convey their stories that way get some love here. So I'm very happy that that got to the finalists.
Yeah.
And then let's see, Echoes of Wisdom. Obviously, it's a more lighthearted, kid-friendly kind of Zelda that they went for there. But it is a very unique setup for the Zelda series, and people were probably enjoying, Zelda's little feminine touch to the hero's journey that she gave to that in that game. Persona 3 Reload, obviously, it's an a JRPG classic, so it doesn't surprise me at all that it made it this far. I'm sure Star will have plenty to say on this front. Sonic X Shadow Generations, obviously, even though there's not that many cutscenes, they do a lot of work with what cutscenes they have because it does a really good job of reintroducing all of the things that happened to Shadow's past and gave, some more closure with the whole Gerald and Maria thing, which Shadow himself never really got to interact with except through like memories and flashbacks and whatnot. So that was very satisfying. And then I did a little research on Tales of Kenzera Zhao, and I can see why it's here because it was a very personal story written by the author about processing, the death of a loved one, and apparently, for those who took the time to play it, it was very impactful to see that brought to life in a video game form. So it's very cool to see a smaller title sneak in here.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that much to say. The only two that I played was Sonic X Shadow Generations and The Legends of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And I think Peace summed it up pretty well. So I'll just skip over me for the sake of time.
All right, well, the only one I played, I haven't even played it, but I've watched the playthrough, so Persona 3 already had a pretty solid story, and the thing that makes it better than the other modern Personas is that it actually lets its side character, or not main character, have moments. Because there's a lot of cutscenes where the main character's not in the cutscene, and it lets the characters like interact with each other. Because the modern flaw of Persona is that a cutscene can never not have the main character. So that makes it better, and I added a lot of little moments where you can hang out with them, and they feel more human that way.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
that's all I have to say.
Alrighty. So, the winner of Best Story goes to Persona 3 Reload.
Yippee.
Fair enough.
Hey.
I mean, Memento Mori. That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah,
Next
good point.
up
Yeah.
is our Most Catholic Game Award. This is our most unique category here at the CGR Awards.
Yeah.
And obviously, this is about highlighting the games that included themes that we found to be quite Catholic in their presentation, and they're the kinds of things you might recommend to somebody if they're looking for something with just that little bit extra to meditate on through play. So this year's nominees were Another Crab's Treasure, the Castlevania Dominus Collection, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Persona 3 Reload, and Unicorn Overlord. I think I'll go ahead and get the discussion started with a few of the games I know a little more about. So first of all, Castlevania Dominus Collection. Obviously, vampires have always been kind of a symbol of the Antichrist since their inception. So any game that deals with trying to fight off and vampires trying to invade the world and take it over and whatnot is just naturally going to be extremely Catholic. Even in the Castlevania games where there's like a member of the church or two who's kind of corrupt, it never has ever taken away from that the importance of faith and how weapons of faith often become important tools in their fight against, Dracula and the evil. So it's very unsurprising to see this here.
In the mainline series, I do want to make a distinction. This is still all the mainline, but they did have a split-off series, Shadows of Fate, or I can't remember, whatever it is. It's one that definitely goes ahead and kind of does away with that, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair. But the mainline series has obviously had very heavy Catholic overtones, even if done from a kind of, Japanese pseudo-anime kind of silliness at times.
And we don't talk about the anime.
Yes, we don't talk about the anime. And then
Netflix.
Yeah.
And then another one, Persona 3 Reload. Now, obviously, you do kind of have to get over, Japan's kind of weird history with suicidal imagery because of the whole seppuku stuff that was very ingrained from their culture. But
Mhm.
if you're willing to get over it, it is actually a quite a meaningful story about, accepting the fact that we're all going to die one day, and facing that fact with bravery is a really big part of Persona 3. And it's understandable to see it this far, even despite the everything.
Yeah.
It is. That
And
is a big
then-
hurdle to get over,
Yes, it's a
admittedly.
big hurdle, but if you're willing to get over it, there is something there. And then I would like to talk a little bit about Unicorn Overlord, because obviously this is one of those like delightful little RPGs where the church is actually a fairly positive force, and it's depicted that way for pretty much the whole runtime. And it's also got a lot of Christian imagery. Like, they're very clearly a monotheist religion who they refer to as the Heavenly Father, but then they also invoke in a very Trinitarian way, like the Holy Mother, which is, the Virgin Mary, and then the Holy Unicorn, which is kind of like the Holy Spirit. Obviously, it's its own thing, it's a fantasy thing, but
Mhm.
it's very cool to have that kind of vaguely Catholic faith being portrayed positively for once in JRPGs.
Yeah.
It's so dang rare.
It is,
To
yeah.
clarify to any Protestants watching, Mary is not part of the Trinity.
Yeah,
Mary
that
is
would be
not a
Jesus.
god to Catholics.
Yeah. He's just using it as a comparison, but
Yes.
that is a fair distinction, which I do appreciate.
But yeah, there's just like a lot of, and also beyond just like the church stuff, the game itself has a really strong dedication to the ideas of mercy and forgiveness. Like a lot of strategy games with large casts tend to have that in order to justify recruiting enemy soldiers to your side. But especially with the more religious trappings in the background of Unicorn Overlord, it really shines in this particular game. And so that's obviously very cool. In any case, I think I'll let the rest of you guys tackle some of the other titles here.
Well, I'll say, in terms of some of the ones you didn't touch on, for The Legend of Zelda, I mean, Zelda has been Catholic since the start. We all know the original instruction manual.
Yep.
Link has a
Mhm.
cross on his shield. It's always been there. We talked about a lot of similar things last year when we
Mhm.
had Tears of the Kingdom to chew
Tears of
on.
the Kingdom.
So obviously that one, it doesn't surprise me that Echoes of Wisdom would show up. And then another Crab's Treasure. I don't think anyone on this panel played it, but from the people who did play it, they say it has a nice message about like stewardship of God's creation.
Interesting.
So
Go ahead and add that to my wish list then.
yeah, that's nice.
All right. Well, the only one I've really experienced again is Persona 3, but it's rare in today's age to see people who see life as meaningful, and that's one of the big messages of the game. Like, a lot of people in the game question why they're living, if they're experiencing so much pain, but the game tells you that despite the pain, that it's worth living, and that's a very important message today, especially when everyone feels a great sense of nihilism.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and in a lot of ways, the great hope is that, Christ experienced all the same pain as us. God understands that pain because he went through that whole passion, and he
Yeah,
knew what it was to, be in tears and to suffer terrible pains and the burdens of kingship and all those terrible, terrible things in our lives. But he's,
the
but there's
peace,
hope in that.
Mhm.
peace with it, right? Because the game really, like, they don't know Christ, the creators, so they just like the meaning of life that they say is like, well, the people around you, which is a very good thing, because that's the second thing Christ tells us, to love people, our neighbor.
Yep.
But
Love one
the
another as
first
I love
one was
you.
God, and He said it. So
Yeah.
they might know the first part. They definitely got the second part was right, that people are very important because we are social creatures.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
certainly no coincidence that the Persona 3 protagonist's canonical, like, ultimate persona is called Messiah, which is
Yep.
not subtle at all.
No. It's about as subtle as J.C. Denton's full name for Deus Ex. Although I will probably say Persona 3's is probably a little more subtle.
Yes, just slightly.
Just slightly. Much as I love Deus Ex, it's like, that's not subtle. Yeah, everybody basically covered it. As I said, I'm still finishing Persona 3. I can't remember how far I am. Like, I think Star was watching that stream, and then I stopped streaming it for a little bit just because I try to stream it more at night, because it's like, since it's an adult game, I don't want to stream it during the day. It's like, let's stream it at an appropriate hour. Yeah, so it's like, I was going to stream it today later, but we'll see, because I have my son tomorrow, so it may not happen. Yeah, but yeah, as we said, Castlevania, it's basically always been Catholic. You're killing Dracula. It's like, yep. The other one, the Echoes of Wisdom, I need to play more of, and the other two I've not played yet, so.
Alrighty. And the winner of Most Catholic Game this year goes to Castlevania Dominus Collection.
Yeah!
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go, baby! Castlevania! See, guys, we don't...
It is a brand new Castlevania game.
A good new Castlevania game.
Collection. Although the collection technically counts because it has the remastered Haunted Castle.
Yeah.
Which means for the purposes of awards, we're using the funky mode clause.
I mean, it is very different. This version of Haunted Mansion is very different than the original one, so it doesn't actually make you hate yourself. That's one big difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. So now we come to the big one, the game of the year. So I believe it's my turn, right?
Yes.
Alrighty. Catholic Game Review's nominees for the Game of the Year this year are Astrobot, Balatro, Helldivers 2, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, and Unicorn Overlord. So, I guess I'll do a quick rundown for myself. Astrobot, I did not play, but I understand why it's here. You know, people love a good 3D platformer, and Astrobot just seems like it's doing all the right things to make people happy. So, good on you, Astrobot. Balatro, as I said again, I haven't played it yet, but it's making such a big impact that I'm in no way surprised that it's here. And it looks very fun, looks very addicting. Helldivers 2, haven't played, probably more of something for Star Warp, but we've said a lot about it. It's getting nominated for a lot of things for a reason. Really fun multiplayer game. Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. This is the only game on this list that I actually have played. And yeah, it's a Zelda game, and it's really creative with all of the echo powers, and you know, having Zelda as a protagonist is fun. Yeah, it's a good time. And I see K-Max is trying to play with Vincent over there.
I try to get two cats. One of them still does not take very well to being picked up, as you might have noticed. The other one's like, whatever.
I hear you. Anyways, back to the discussion at hand. Who else would like to weigh in on our games of the year? Oh, I almost forgot to say Unicorn Overlord. Haven't played it myself, but Peace tells me it's great, and I think it looks very great as well. So I have no problems with it being here.
I think we've talked. Go ahead, sorry.
A good thing. I already said my piece with Helldivers. It's very fun, but I think the big thing to take away this year is something very good for the industry, and that's from Astrobot, Balatro, and Helldivers, that these games blew up with the casual / normie audience, and it shows them they don't have to play slop every year. They don't have to play the COD or the gacha that hates them, or they don't have to keep playing like the same games. They can branch out, and these games had a big impact with them. So they might start playing more like indie games or just smaller games in general. Like, oh, I don't have to keep playing the same kind of games because a lot of people say gaming is dead, but they play this COD every year or they hate their life on the gacha they're playing. So I think that's a big takeaway from this year that gaming is more than the big games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit on something very important there. Pretty much every single one of our nominations here represent breaks from like, you know, the mainstream gaming audience
Yeah,
that went out of their way to do something truly
Different.
special that
Yeah.
reminded us that games don't have to be the way that the suits want
yeah,
them to be. I mean, just going top to bottom, Astrobot, the fact that it came out so close to another game that we may or may not be talking about really soon is completely poetic and indicative that, you know, sometimes just a nice, good, you know, single player, you know,
hmm
platforming experience marketed for all ages is all you really need to make your mark. And Astrobot is kind of a triumph in that regard. Balatro is obviously emblematic of like the sheer power of the indie scene to inspire players, even despite the obscurity out of which it spawned. And wherever that faceless dev is out there, happy trails on whatever you're working on for the game next. You know, you deserve all of that. Helldivers 2, obviously, it sucks and you're going to burn because democracy is cringe. But to be real, yes, that has been one of the better handled you know, live service games in a long time because it didn't overprice itself and it committed itself to using its wealth to invest back into the player base and make the game better for them. Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is a really unique game. There's no Zelda game quite like it, all things considered. And it shows that even these old dogs can learn new tricks if we just trust the developers to cook, as it were. And Unicorn Overlord, obviously, this was my vote, I'm pretty sure. You know, it's a nice independent studio that always puts their all into doing, you know, incredible works of art, and they always do something different every time. And this was one of my first forays into that kind of real-time like RPG strategy in the vein of things like Tactics Ogre. I mean, I may have tried that a little bit in the past, but this is my first foray into that kind of subgenre of the strategy RPG, and it was very fun to learn the ropes of that. And, you know, just in general, it was a really lovingly crafted game. Also, the food, just the food. Go to the tavern, look at the food. It's beautiful.
Alrighty, K-Max, do you have anything to say about our nominees?
We've talked about all these a lot. I think we've covered them pretty well.
Very well. Without further ado, Catholic Game Reviews' Game of the Year goes to The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom.
I was expecting Astrobot, not gonna lie.
Well, Jeff Keighley's Game Awards aren't the best predictors of our Game Awards.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
I feel like even if a completely random company dominates in other categories, when it comes time for Game of the Year, Nintendo usually wins on this site, and that's not a bad thing. That's our audience. That's just how it be. But
just how it be.
You know, honestly, Zelda Echoes of Wisdom certainly made a strong showing anyway. And honestly, the fact that it's the only Nintendo game in the Game of the Year segment shows that we did. We were pretty fair, all things considered.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else Nintendo really released last year that was
Did
big.
Wonder come out last year?
No, that was 23. That was 23.
Oh, dang.
I had to think about it for a second. That was 23.
Yeah, I mean, it was a pretty light year for Nintendo. They're gearing up for the Switch too.
Yeah, they are.
They've earned a break.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Legend of Zelda, that was my number 2 game of the year. Obviously, my number 1 was Tekken 8, as I was saying earlier, but that didn't quite make the finals for game of the year. So, but I'm happy Echoes of Wisdom won.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't
in
have
bed.
been mad if any of these won. They all seem
Alright.
good games.
Yeah, agreed.
So, this is where we ended last year, but unbeknownst to everyone who was voting this year, I added 2 more categories right at the last minute just to see if I could get away with it. So, Star Warp, could you please introduce us to popular games nobody nominated?
Alright, so we have Black Myth, Wukong. We have Elden Ring, Shadow of the Eldritch Tree. We have Silent 2 Hill, or Silent Hill 2. And then we have Stellar Blade. And we have Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2.
Yep.
So, Black Myth, Wukong. I don't really know if it's a Souls-like, but everyone seems to be enjoying it. And it does look pretty cool. So good on that game. And the Elden Ring DLC, seemed like people were happy with it. The Silent 2 remake, I don't know what the reception was, but
I've heard it's pretty well received for the most part.
yeah. Stellar Blade, I don't really know if it has any merit to its gameplay. It kind of seemed like a cooler game, but I don't know. I can't really say the gameplay wise. And then Warhammer, I know people enjoyed it. You always enjoy a good game where it's mission based. So that's all I gotta say.
Now, to clarify, I assume this category was essentially just your way of getting us to have a segment where we talk about those games that most other people would have probably put on their own Game of the
Yeah.
Year shows, but just didn't, kind of to expand the scope of the show a little bit.
Yeah, and also because I thought it would be funny to acknowledge, like, we're normal people with lives. We can't play every single game. So I just wanted to throw these games in front of the voters just to see what would happen.
But yeah, looking through these, I'm pretty similar to Star Wars here. Black Myth, Wukong, and also okay, I'll do this one at a time. Black Myth Wukong, again, I'm pretty sure it is kind of in that kind of Souls-like vein. And, it got, pretty popular after, the Access Media tried to deride it for essentially being too Chinese, and then it got like 2 million concurrent players. And it's like, that's quite a signal to send. Like, let people make the games that speak to their background. It's a very important thing in this day and age, I think. So that was a kind of a funny flashpoint in gaming culture. Elden Ring's DLC, Shadow of the Erd Tree, doesn't surprise me that to see it here specifically, because obviously it made waves when it came out. But it being DLC and being nominated for Game of the Year and stuff was just, bizarre, especially when the DLC category exists. But yeah, it's very funny to see that here now. Silent Hill 2. I do not know anything about horror. I stay the heck away from all horror because I just don't have that constitution. Minecraft is literally a horror game to me. I'm sorry, it's too scary. But yes, I've heard that got some good reviews. Stellar Blade obviously was probably the most infamous one for being quote unquote Gamergate 2. And obviously, I think Stellar Blade was the wrong hill for gamers to die on because really that just makes us look like really degenerate, which is dumb. But, I do acknowledge that it did have quite an impact near the beginning of the year. And then Space Marine 2 was just another big moment where the entire gaming consensus looked at Access Media and said, "What is wrong with you? It's just a fun game about shooting bugs with big buff men."
Who doesn't love that?
Who doesn't like that?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. With all that, honestly, Black Myth Wukong, I'm interested. I'd say it's Souls adjacent from what I've seen of it. Probably not quite a Souls-like, but it definitely draws similarities to it. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree, I'm interested in. I still need to finish Elden Ring as is. I would also not consider it Game of the Year because it's DLC. Now, admittedly, we might have to have a conversation about that new multiplayer version of Elden Ring that also incorporates previous bosses from the Dark Souls and Demon Souls series. So that might be more actually something we could discuss, because I'm curious about that one actually. Silent Hill 2, I don't know. Silent Hill is a series I've been meaning to play. I'm curious about it, but it also just seems like it's super psychological, and it's like I don't know. It's something that's fascinating me. Stellar Blade, yeah, I agree with that. It has the Rayman Origins problem mentioned earlier, where it is too voluptuous. And I will also agree that Stellar Blade probably wasn't the game to go ahead and prop up for Gamergate 2, just because it does go ahead and make people look like, oh, we only want the bazungas. Stellar Blade probably did kick it off, however, because Stellar Blade did go ahead and fight against a lot of what people didn't want, which, once again, some of that's not great. But I would also say that there was Stellar Blade. The Final Fantasy XIV expansion probably also made people get really did have some people get upset, as well as Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, because I know that those two, at the very least, had influence by Sweet Baby Inc., which is probably the bigger promulgation of Gamergate 2 Electric Boogaloo this year. And it's like, yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. needs to go away very fast and not do a Phoenix. And Warhammer at 40k, shooting bugs.
Yeah. I don't know if I have much to say. Like I said, I'm mostly just trolling you all, especially with the Shadow of the Erd Tree nomination there. That's once again riffing on Jeff, because I love to riff on Jeff.
As is right and just.
I've got Star Warp say anything?
He's muted at the moment.
Yeah, he started.
Oh yeah, he did.
That's also true.
Well. My apologies, Star Warp.
I know, I'm a yapper. I'm sorry. Sunday runs in my veins.
Oh darn, sorry about that. Anyways, so let's see what the website decided was the best popular game that no one nominated. The winner is Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2.
Not what I was expecting, but congratulations.
Well, to be fair, Warhammer 40k is dripping in the Catholic aesthetic with the Imperial man.
That's true.
So I can kind of see that.
That does make sense.
It makes sense.
And obviously, it's more complicated than just it's Catholic. It's more of a commentary on how atheists are essentially as dogmatic as religious people. So that's why they're a bunch of, God Emperor of Mankind, and they all look Catholic even though they're atheists. It's supposed to be about how that sort of stuff will reassert itself
in a different light. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, if anyone on the site had bothered to play that, which admittedly I probably would have if my PC wasn't a potato, I could easily see that one showing up in a few other categories.
Yeah. There's a few of these games I could see that were nominated, but I'm surprised weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe Silent Hill 2 could have made a few other categories, but I only just recently decided to genuinely try a horror game. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, horror games aren't usually my first choice, but I am trying to branch out into them a little bit, so I get that.
I got you. And so we come to the final category. This one was different because rather than going through a whole nominations process, I just put in a blank slate for anyone to write in whatever they wanted. And that category is the worst game of the year. Hey, Max, would you please do the honors?
Oh, I'd love to. I was going to say, I actually have some...
And read the submissions precisely.
I will. I was going to say, I actually have something I need to go ahead and talk about, honestly. So, worst game of the year. We have 400 Million Cord, a.k.a. Concord. We have Dragon Age the Veilguard. And then we get to Dustborn, which is the one that I want to talk about specifically. Because the person that wrote and produced Dustborn, I'm making sure he didn't go ahead and direct it too. But he also wrote and... I'm double checking. So... I guess I should say his name. The person that directed and wrote Dustborn is named Ragnar Tornquist. The Longest Journey is in one of my top 10 games of all time, and Ragnar Tornquist has turned up again. He wrote and also produced that one, which I don't see a director here, so I'm going to assume basically the same in this case. And boy, has his quality of writing taken a sharp decline. Because as I said, The Longest Journey is one of my favorite games of absolutely all time. It is a wonderful game. The story is interesting. The characters are interesting. It goes ahead and has a little bit of inclusivity in a way that actually works, instead of, with Dustborn, where it's like, you're racist. It's like, wow, you're really selling it to me there. Go back. I don't know what it was. I don't know if your writing just has really decided to jump off a cliff, and I need to look more into the development of all the games he's released post The Longest Journey and The Longest Journey development. Was there a George Lucas effect going on, where much like with Star Wars 1 through 3, he went ahead and had George Lucas had free reign of 1 through 3 and didn't have another person to go ahead and redirect him? Is that what happened? Because if so, I need to do some more research, because boy, has the game, like, the sequel to The Longest Journey, not as good. The other sequel to The Longest Journey, not as good. They go ahead and get progressively worse.
If I may, K-Max, do you mind introducing the rest of the nominations real quick?
I was about to, yeah. Sorry. And then one of them is a joke, because it's Simpsons. Lee Carvello's Putting Challenge, which we love the Simpsons here. The first 10 seasons. Skull and Bones, which probably also cost close to $400 million, to be quite honest. But it hasn't been divulged yet. And then the last one we have is whatever K-Max says the best, because this is a K-Cross suggestion, or submission. I know it is. Triple Heart, but actually Indica, LOL.
Wait, wasn't that Justice?
Yeah,
Was it
Justice?
Justice?
The one who played Indica.
I mean, it could be, but I was gonna say that definitely sounds like a K-Cross suggestion. Not gonna lie.
Maybe
like
Kageros saw the Inca review and maybe decided that's what he wanted to nominate.
It's possible. It's possible. Yeah,
Okay.
those
I
are
guess we shouldn't
yeah.
dox anybody for what they voted for. Who knows?
I wasn't being mean about it, but yeah, that's true.
Oh, I doxed people last year.
Yeah, that's fair. In any case, but yeah, I feel like this was a very appropriate category to bring up, because the bad games this year were simply too legendary to not give some work to this year. So, I mean, obviously the big one for most people is Concord. A $400 million for less than 2 weeks of uptime before shutting down.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing how, bad character design and bad marketing can do so much damage to what was probably a serviceable game.
Probably, yeah. I'd imagine so. It was probably serviceable, but it's like people are also just getting tired of having DI shoved down our throats, and it's finally people are realizing that. It took a while. Sorry, I'm interrupting. Go ahead, peace. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Sorry, I gotta send a quick reply to someone.
Oh, that's fair. I say, well, we're talking about... Yeah.
Someone was trying to listen into us. But, you can listen when this video is out.
Let's go live soon.
Let's see. A Dragon Age, the Veilguard. Obviously, that was a massive disappointment for a lot of people. It took this, beloved long-running RPG series and fumbled pretty much every single bag it was handed.
It's sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just, it kind of breaks from the previous games as, a feature of carrying over a ridiculous amount of information across the different series entries. I know the tone shift was way outside of what people wanted for the series.
Yeah.
It had some very strange politics inside of it. And, the gameplay was nothing like a successor to anything that had come before. It was genuinely one of the more, moments where everyone came together and says, no, you can't just do what you want with these IPs. Come on, guys.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of crazy, because it's like, while on that note, just because I'm thinking about it, it's kind of similar to you guys and Fatal Fury, how it's like you were waiting for you've been waiting 25 years. Yeah. Not quite as long, but Dragon Age Inquisition came out in 2014, and then Veilguard was 10 years later, and it was a flop and just abysmal. It's like, imagine waiting that long for a sequel, and it's like, but what if we didn't respect any of the previous things we had in the previous games? We're just going to go ahead and make a character that's absolutely awful and go ahead and rewrite races and everything about the game just because we can. It's like, okay.
Yeah. And anyways,
Thanks. Sorry.
as far as the other ones here, the putting challenge, guys, this is literally a game on itch.io that you can apparently just kind of
Yeah.
run. So this is very much just a joke from somebody who wasn't sure what to put here. Let's see, Skull and Bones. Obviously, that was legendary for the quadruple A game, the first of its kind, and it's about the most, banal live service, kind of slop. I mean, apparently the game is still up and you can still play it, but who knows how much support it's actually got.
Yeah. Better than Concord.
Yeah, better than Concord at least. And then Indica, I can totally see here. That was probably the most anti-Catholic or at least anti-Christian game that
Yeah.
wound up getting a review. We do sometimes review those kinds of games when we really just need to process terrible games and put them out in front of everybody so that we can start discussions about these kinds of things.
Mhm.
And yeah, that game badly mishandled the ideas of sin and forgiveness and heaven and hell and that sort of thing. The fact that you have to listen to the devil yap in order to progress says all you really need to know. And then
Sorry, I'm just thinking it's interesting because, as I say, I know obviously Indica is bad with that, and obviously they just did not give a hoot. I can't remember who it was, but the person that worked on Fallout New Vegas and we interviewed that released that other game set in the Renaissance time, how even though he's not Catholic, and I think he's agnostic.
he's
Something like that.
probably an atheist.
Okay,
Or
either
one
way,
or the other.
he at least was willing to take the time to do proper research and give proper respect. Where it's like that one is interesting. I haven't played it yet, and I know it's not 100% there, but it's better than Indica. So it's just interesting where you can go ahead and if you actually put time and effort into something, you can still try to make a statement, but actually go ahead and make a game that is playable, passable.
Yeah,
so.
and of course we were talking about Pentiment is what you were thinking of.
Yeah, that's it. Thank
winner
you.
of backlog game from our first
That's true.
2024
That's true.
production. So, great game. Definitely recommend. Yeah. And then lastly, of course, I just want to say, because this is what I wrote personally, Dustborn, that was really just kind of like, I feel like a lot of the problems that everything else tended to have this year, you could find in Dustborn, live serviceness notwithstanding, but I think that game deserved special scorn for it essentially like not even trying to pretend that it's not the most trash political programming video game ever made. And like literally one of the main things the game has you do is like bully the one Catholic character, and you have to kind of like coerce him into doing bad things, even though he's trying to take the moral high ground in his little merry band of psychopaths. And they even make an obnoxious, like, white Jesus colonizer BS thing. Like, clearly they have no idea about the tradition of sacred art within the church, but that colonization has absolutely nothing to do with that. It was just an absolute mess.
As I said, aside from just Dustborn being a mess, as I said, The Longest Journey being one of my favorite games, and to see the same person that wrote it and then wrote the other one, it's like, that one personally hurt really bad. It's like how far we have fallen.
And I heard the gameplay was also just bad.
Yeah, there was nothing good about it. Like I've decided that I'm gonna go ahead and write.
Couldn't even fail the rhythm game. That famous song that everyone hates. You can't even fail it. You can put the controller down and
the Dustborn. Yeah, gosh. I've decided to torture myself. Eventually, I'm going to play through all of his games so as to go ahead and look at the sharp decline he's had, and I'm going to write a review. I'm going to write an article about that. Pray for me.
Will do.
And Dustborn did a bad job at being inclusive. The worst character in the game is the Muslim. Like, she's so obnoxious. Like, they failed at their job.
Of course they did.
Yeah. And that also we can get into the whole double standard of the fact that you don't really get to criticize her for being a theist in the
Yeah.
Muslim
Yeah.
context, but the Catholic character gets bullied and then like dies near the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's like
No, yeah.
Yeah, he died at
psychopaths.
the end of the
Yeah.
game.
If you're gonna be crappy to believers, at least be crappy to all of them, please.
Yeah.
Again, I just threw this into the awards at the last second just to cause chaos. So I
Chaos.
think
Seems
that
like
that
it's
speaks for
working.
itself. But there's also parts about this that I'm thinking about, maybe improvements for next year. I'm maybe experimenting a little, so look forward
Yeah.
to next year's show.
Makes sense.
But without further ado, Catholic Game Reviews' worst game of the year goes to a tie between Concord and Dustborn.
Oh,
It doesn't get a clap. It gets a raspberry.
There's the standing
Oh,
ovation.
that's we were supposed to give
it.
it a standing ovation. I forgot about it. I decided to go ahead and give it a raspberry instead.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
what do we think about tie breaking for this one?
well, technically, there was a Patreon supporter who came in after voting had closed for everything, and I was having a little chat with them about maybe getting him to break the ties, and I wasn't able to get any responses about anticipated games, so this is why we just did a Homs block coup for that
Yeah.
category. But I asked him about it, and ultimately he gave it to Dustborn because unlike
Oh.
Concord, he had watched somebody play through Dustborn on Twitch or something like that. And
It's
he's
yeah.
clearly the sort of person who's more comfortable giving opinions on stuff if he's actually played it. Obviously, I don't mind giving opinions on more than that, but that's just his style. And he did watch Dustborn, so technically speaking, if we want to include JJ, shout out, I think Dustborn is our worst game of the year.
I'm fine with that because it's like honestly, there's not much gameplay for Dustborn. Watching it works perfectly fine.
Yeah. Although,
As you
Yeah.
said, you said you can't fail the music section. So
I
but
will say though
I
with
won't-
Concord, it's just like so sad because there was like concept art floating around for like earlier versions of those characters, which was 90% of the problem. And it's like, you had a good thing going, guys.
yeah,
What happened?
we had to include
I
inclusivity.
suppose we didn't touch on Concord as much during the discussion, but I guess I'll
But
just
to
put
be
in a
fair, the
word.
world didn't either. It literally
Yeah.
existed
I
for a
heard the
week
gameplay was decent.
and dipped.
I heard the gameplay was decent, but yeah, it just had too much
Yeah.
baggage.
We'll see if it comes back. There's rumors it will. Worst game of the
I have
year
a
for
feeling-
2025? Ooh, baby.
If it is free to play, I will play it for like 5 minutes. That is a
Well,
promise.
yes. I mean, it would have to be on PC. It's a Sony game, so
that's
we'll find
true.
out.
If it's Sony, I can't do that anyway.
I think the only way that they could bring it back is if they leaned into the marketing, like the worst game ever created is back.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, they've done that for Mobius too, or Morbius, and that also blew up in their face. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no, that was more just the suits being tone deaf because they thought
Yeah,
that the
that's true.
memes meant
That's
that
true.
they liked it, but that was the mockery of it.
That's true. But all right, I think
Although,
we should probably.
honestly, A free is more enticing to a lot of people, so
Free
I
is
can
more
see what
enticing.
happen if they make it free.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways,
All right.
thanks for a good show, guys, and thank you to our patrons and the rest of the writing staff for voting on all of these categories and all these games. And I look forward to doing this again next year.
Me as
Thank
well.
you so
Thank you for
much.
having.
Yeah.
God bless everybody.
God bless.
God bless.
And ciao.